So hi there, my name's Kim Penfold, and I'm the Channel Account Director for Sensata SmartWitness. And at weekends I wear a different hat. I'm actually Account Director for Sensata for the European truck racing. So today, rather than speak to you about speeds and feeds in our cameras, we're actually going to give you an overview of what the track to the street actually means, and the learning that we're currently getting from working on the racetracks with racing trucks, how we actually bring that back to everyday life to have a look how we can improve our AI and safety with our cameras. So first of all, how many people here have heard of the FIA? If you put your hands up, you've heard of the FIA? Only a few of you, come on. Drive to Survive's come out on Netflix. Surely everyone knows the FIA now. So the FIA are originally formed in 1904. They are the most prestigious, the most biggest sporting governing body for motor racing in the world. They were originally brought together, in fact, to represent the motor racing, the motor industry, the manufacturers and the drivers. Moving on, as we know, 2022, everyone knows them for the Formula One. Well, in fact, there's 27 sub-disciplines of the FIA and 30 upon them as well. And the second biggest watched, with over 1 million viewers, is actually the European truck racing. And I don't know if everyone's seen it, but they are basically 5.5-ton trucks going round Hungaroring, Nürburgring, bashing each other up at a maximum speed of 100 miles an hour. You say bashing them up, we'll come to what that actually means and actually where we fit in with the European truck racing. Is there a special button next? Why is it always when I present the button never works? So basically, what are we to do with the ETRC and the FIA? We actually provide the official judiciary cameras that are inside the trucks, not only for the rules and making sure the regulations are kept by the drivers, but in fact also they use them on the TV as a different sort of eye view for the supporters. What we actually do, instead of traditional in our cameras, where you'd actually put the camera onto your windshield, you just wouldn't do that at all. In a racing truck. Why? Because they have accidents. You don't want a flying missile. What we actually do is we attach it, we clamp it to the roll bar that actually sits behind the driver. So you get a driver eye view, so the FIA can see not only what's going on in the cockpit, but also what's going on in front. And this is all used to create penalties when there's incidents. But they also use it, they cheekily put it a bit to the right, because what they can actually see is in our video cameras, 1080p, they can actually see what the driver's hands are doing. So in motor racing, well, this motor racing, you wouldn't see it in an F1 car because of the cost. You're allowed to do this little thing called KISS. What you're not allowed to do is bash someone. So by actually the FIA having clear video footage from our cameras, they can actually tell whether they're penalising someone, or they need to penalise someone, or whether it's just part of a racing incident. Okay, so where do we sit, and how did the FIA come about our telematics cameras? So we've got high-tech, high-end telematic cameras. The FIA approached us when we were part of the British truck racing, and they saw what we were doing, and they came to us with this little thing saying, you know, we've got cameras, you know, that we can use. The problem is with these cameras, though, we're using SD cards, and when you've only got 30 minutes of parc fermé, and you've got 18 to 20 trucks that are racing with incidents, how are you going to look at that footage? How are you going to get that information? And so, are these connected? Can they be connected? Yep, tick. Okay, how quickly can you get the footage? Can you get it within seconds of an incident happening? Yep, tick. Are you able to pull multiple footage at the same time to be able to seeing what is actually going on? Because as other people have said here, what Teltonica said, the truth to any incident is video, right? We have traditional telematics that tells you where you are, exactly, what speed you're doing. But at the end of the day, the truth is actually what happens and what's gone on in that incident. And we know this. And this is also how we take it from the track to the street to protect the truck drivers that we have. And if you look at it this way, if our video cameras are able to tell within 18 trucks getting together and having a bash up, being able to tell which one is actually at fault when they're going at 100 miles an hour. What can this do for an everyday fleet manager with that capability? They'll be able to get the information and the technology and the AI that they need. So data and data analytics. So I'm going to talk slightly about, look, we're a turnkey solution. And what they're reporting nowadays, that we're all looking at AI, right? AI is the way forward. So we have ADAS, we have DSM, we have all of these kind of things. But what we've also got is conceptual data. And the conceptual data is so important. Because in the UK, is anyone here from the UK, by the way? Anyone from the UK here? Right, so as you know, every third road's a roundabout, right? Unlike other places like Germany, where it can just carry on going. When you're looking at traditional telematics, it was picking up things like sharp turns, excess acceleration, which we're all looking at fuel consumption, and you're looking at bad driving behaviour. When you're looking at conceptual data, it can tell the difference between someone being heavy on the gas, right, and joining a motorway. It can tell that, which means your driver's not being penalised. It can also tell that you're going on a roundabout, and again, drive's not being penalised. And one of the racing drivers that I work with, they do both British and European. We were sitting down having some food. I was going to say wine then, but I'm being filmed, so I couldn't possibly say that. And we were talking about the cameras that we're using and what we're doing and how this actually works for him. And then, we can do driver scorecards. Now, traditional driver scorecards, when it wasn't conceptual, what was happening there is drivers were getting blamed for things that they not necessarily did, right? And we got a shortage in drivers. And this shortage, we need to treat our drivers better by being able to actually get the correct data and analysis on them that we can. We need to protect them. And this is something he's passionate about. He's got over 1,000 trucks. He's created a scorecard with us that you can't get 1,000, right? You can't get 100% correctness, right? You're never going to get perfection at a driver, but you can get 95%. You look after your driver, you can get that. How do you do that? At the end of the week, they get a little bit of extra money in their back pocket that their partner might not know about. So that's one little incentive. You get the same at the end of a quarter, and you get the same at the end of the year. But he doesn't just use that to incentivize his drivers to drive better. It's actually about safety. And I said, well, what about the ones that come under 95? He goes, not an issue. The ones that come under 95, I'll put them on a driving course. I will get them to improve their driving skills. Right, okay, so what about, how does it all work together? He also actually uses it not just to lower his total cost of ownership within the business, he uses it as well. If people have been getting great driver scoring, and then suddenly, from nowhere, it begins dropping down, he can see that. He'll pull them in the office and say, is there any other issues going on? Do we need to look at maybe taking you to a healthcare check? Protecting our drivers is massive. And not just by protecting the drivers and having video on there, that when there's an incident, that we've managed to eradicate them if they've been a problem. But it also brings back the total cost of ownership as well. So if you look at it, he believes that over 1,000 trucks he's got, he generally uses 2 manufacturers, and depending on which one, he believes that he can save by better driving between £15,000 a year and £20,000 a year. Now, that is an immense saving, and that's by encouraging your drivers to drive to their best ability, saving on fuel economy, saving on tire degradation. And we take a lot of the analytics that we use at the truck racing to actually bring that back in with our AI. So, before I carry on, it's something I'm very passionate about, in case you haven't noticed, about truck racing and looking after our drivers. So we've already gone through from the track to the street, and then at the end of every race weekend, basically what we do is we'll sit with the FIA, we'll take a look at any incidents that have gone on, and say, how can we make that safer? Is there anything else we can use? But then we take that back from there, we take it back to our AI division, who are always, as we know, AI, right, it's growing all the time. The only thing that's stopping it growing bigger is really our imagination. So we take that back and look how we can take it from the track to the street. So one of these would be, we've been asked if we can by any chance get our AI to work with the flag system at racetracks. We're thinking that is a little bit further away, but why aren't we doing signposts? So at the moment, we're actually in the process of creating our AI to be able to read all the signposts as well, over global, not just local. So from there, I think I've spoken so quickly. I do apologise. I do feel bad for anyone that hasn't got a London accent like me with how quickly I spoke. But if anyone would like to have a chat with me afterwards, and I'd like to thank Wialon as well with our partnership. Because as we're growing as Sensata, because we're now Sensata SmartWitness, we're now Zergo Sensata, and soon we're going to be a much bigger Sensata. And as we are growing as a company, we're able to grow with them, which we're incredibly excited about. And when we heard them speak this morning, actually, it was incredibly compelling to hear the fact that we're not just working with a company with ethics, which they've definitely shown what they've been able to do in the last 6 months, but we're able to change and diversify in a very small amount of time. So if anyone would like to speak to me about anything afterwards, either come and see me or by all means, go and speak to your Wialon account manager. And thank you very much for your time, and my apologies if I spoke a bit faster than intended, because I've just seen I've actually got 4 minutes left, but I'm not going to bore you any longer with my passion of motor racing or driver safety. Thank you.